Hey everyone, Ivy League Gaming here, and today we're playing Raid Shadow Legends, and I wanted to test, can our little baby Bulwark rare hang in a basic Bateater comp? Can we? 1 key Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss with Bulwark as our DPS? He's only a rare after all. Much easier to obtain than some of the epics that make for strong DPS in the unkillable clan boss teams, right? He's also very strong for killable clan boss teams because he's defense based, so easy to keep alive. But we're gonna talk affinity clan boss only. Red alert, do not use Bulwark and Void. It's just not good. I'm gonna talk about that more later, but it's all about his passive and you really need it to be affinity clan boss. But I was not able to get crazy stats on my Bulwark, but we'll show that more later. But I am on my real account, not the test server also, guys. So keep that in mind. I messed around with some of my gear for the sake of content, just to see if we could have a Bulwark actually 1 key Ultra Nightmare clan boss in a typical Bateater. Can we do it? Well, let me roll the run. I'll show the presets. I'll show the start of the run. I'll kind of skip to the end of the run. We don't need to see everything. It's too long. We don't need to watch a whole clan boss run. And then we'll show the builds and talk about the result. So stay tuned.
You gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down, find what you love and excel, yeah. Push and pull and repel any hate, go create what you want, feel compelled, yeah. And once you finally get a taste of the race, you'll never look back once you felt that. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. About others way before myself, yeah. I guess that's why I feel like I go through hell, damn. Wasting time on your dreams instead of mine, yeah. About to turn this franchise around on a dime, man. It's all about finding your right state of mind. It's all about turning the worst into fine. It's all about time and the work and the climb. From the thirst we will rise, I'm immersed in this life. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. I don't really know what comes next. I'm just doing my best, even though I'm so stressed out. Everything just feels like a test that I fail, so depressed when I can't seem to get out. But something deep inside won't let me quit. I swear that I'm inspired by all this shit. Tell me that I can and I won't. That's what guides me the most. Fuck your lies, I'll do what I want. inspired by thirst, I'm inspired by worth. I desire your worst, so you can just hide while I work. I ain't tired, you first. I'll write a second, third verse about the lies you go disperse. You never did shit, I know it hurts. Something deep inside won't let me quit. I swear that I'm inspired by all this shit. Tell me that I can and I won't. That's what guides me the most. Fuck your lies, I'll do what I want. The gas in the back of the set never leaves. She's so bad that the chick made the bag. The gas in the back of the set never leaves. She's so bad that the chick made the bag. The gas in the back of the set never leaves. She's so bad that the chick made the bag. The gas in the back of the set never leaves. She's so bad that the chick made the bag.
So I think it's safe to say our answer is, well, no. I say no for the sake of a one-key Ultra Nightmare with a typical Bateater with Seeker. So with this comp, of course, we are missing decreased defense, which is so important for everyone else to do some crazy damage. We also only have the baby version of Weaken. But all things considered, missing those things, we still have a very solid 2-key Ultra Nightmare, which a lot of people would still be quite happy with. So when it comes to the typical basic ass Bateater, I don't think Bulwark is the option. But there is another comp that he could be good for. So we're going to head on over to Deadwood Jedi's website. Of course, you could find the Bateater here as well. But there is another one. Let's see if we could find it. So this is, some of the pages take forever. Of course, the basic Bateater is like on one of the last pages. But it's there, guys. If you guys do need the speed tune for the typical Bateater, it's there. But there's also this. So maybe you don't have a Seeker, but you do have a Deacon. Or you want to try this comp because you really just don't have a great DPS for... whatchamacallit, for just regular Bateater. You have like meh options. Deacon can bring the decreased defense. So then we'd have decreased defense and Weaken, and the HP burn bonus, and the debuff extension bonus that Bulwark brings right alongside of it. So this is a little bit different speed tune wise, as you could see. Normally the slow Maneater Penkeeper are around 240 speed. This one's a little bit higher. It's also a little bit lower for your DPS speed. So this is actually interesting because for me, my tune was definitely limited by my gear. So I'll show you guys what I ended up doing from... shout out to Hell Hades website now, using all the tools, right guys? I did my best damage I could get for Bulwark, and what did it end up being? Only 171 crit damage. That just shows you how meh my Relentless gear is when it comes to defense based damage stats. So I'm just really lacking there, unfortunately, when it comes to my defense stat Relentless gear. So that is, or at least with the combination of defense, crit rate, crit damage, and speed, I'm really lacking. So it is what it is, and my build could have been better for sure. We only had 171 crit damage. So this, I feel like, would really be the answer, because I could lower my speed. Actually, let's see what happens there. Let's take a look at Hell Hades website really quick. And let's see what happens there. So if I all of a sudden could go to only 201 speed, so let's just say 200. We could glyph 1, right? Or I could even go lower because we could glyph. All of a sudden, look at that. 247% crit damage now. Just because my limited speeds made that much of a difference. So, well, or not. This is more balanced. Okay. So this is really good. It may, even though it's less crit damage, more defense, it does a good job of balancing out and figuring out the best damage for each thing. So let's take a look at this build. So I could steal... Sorry, Septimus. I could, and all my people, I always stealing all the gear. But yeah, this would allow me to build my Bulwark with a lot more damage if I could just do the Deacon Eater instead. So that's something I think I want to try to do it. I would, okay. In a perfect world, I would do this on the test server. But the problem is, the test server is always at void because no one's doing Clan Boss. So what I might have to do is to, every day I have test server left before this runs out, what I might do for the sake of experiment, and I'm sure you guys are curious now, I want to see if I can build a Deacon Eater with Bulwark as my DPS and get a solid 1-key Ultra Nightmare. But the problem is I'm just going to have to run my Clan Boss comp a bunch of times on the test server and hope it goes to like, I would prefer it to go to Spirit just because that's the best opportunity to see what he could really do. But I guess I just have to run a bunch of keys and let it switch affinity and let it be what it is. But I mean, to be fair, if we put Deacon instead of Seeker, then Force would be okay as well. So I guess it really doesn't matter. But luckily, I mean, the 4 hits you really need. So when it comes to Bulwark, guys, we're talking Clan Boss, Ultra Nightmare, especially all of them, all the levels that you're going to use Bulwark in. He really shines because of his passive. So let's go take a look at the builds of everything. I'll show you what we are working with here, and I'll show you the skills as well and why it is what it is and why it works so well. All right, so Bulwark is amazing for Affinity Clan Boss. Specifically, don't use him if you're only hitting Void. That's just straight up. You want to know why? It's his passive. So when attacked, there's a 30% chance of extending the duration of all debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn. So the Clan Boss hits like 4 times on Affinity. Not when it's Void. So that's one thing you just have to look for, is that the one main skill of the Clan Boss that hits like 4 times, you don't get that when it's Void, unfortunately. So it's a lot less reliable to have him extend the debuffs. He does bring an HP burn, which is great damage for Clan Boss. He also has a 2-hitter here, and a weaken. So it is the baby weaken. But if you could bring someone like Deacon in instead of Seeker, then maybe that decreased defense and the weaken and extending and the HP burns are going to be enough to make a solid 1-key Ultra Nightmare team. We also have a defense in all battles aura, which is amazing to have him. It's amazing to have him as the leader for the sake of this, because he's also DPS and his damage is based on defense. So he's just giving himself more damage. But yeah, with my build like I showed, I was not able to get the crit damage I would like for a Bateater for my DPS. But that's because of my defense gear, and needing the right speed. But I think if we try the other one, it would be great. So the other reality is, let's see, we have Painkeeper here. Painkeeper I have in a toxic set. 240 speed. And same masteries. I think these are the same masteries I have on Bulwark. Almost exactly. Almost the same masteries I have on Bulwark. So she's the only one I have in a toxic set. So you notice that debuff bar was not full. If we could get one other person in a toxic set without hurting the damage, that would be ideal. Like if I have fast enough toxic gear to maybe put that Deacon and a Deacon Eater in toxic, that might be fun as well. Because Deacon here, I mean, it makes it easier to have him as the speed lead because that helps to make the speed requirement a little bit less crazy. But yeah, he's going to go often, especially with this grants an extra turn. And if we could keep up poisons and then Bulwark can extend them, it's going to be very solid. So that's something we might have to try in the future, is do a Deacon Eater with Bulwark on the test server so I'm not destroying my account. Because I'm actually on my real account right now, and I didn't want to completely mess up my actual Clan Boss team too much and have to refix it again, and it gets too messy, and I don't want to screw something up right now. But yeah, we have one of my man-eaters here, my fast man-eater. There's the stats there. He is in just basic speed gear plus other stuff to make the stats possible. I could probably optimize for some damage on these guys now. I probably have some better gear by now. But I can't seem to get strong Fury or toxic gear to make my man-eaters still be solid damage-wise. I think the biggest thing I would have to do for this to make that work is to put my better toxic gear that's on my Painkeeper, put that on one of my slower man-eater instead, because he's going to do a little more damage than Painkeeper. But there's the masteries, same masteries, of course, on the other man-eater. This is my slow one. He's got solid stats for damage, 262 crit damage. I like it. And 240 speed and a little bit of attack, whatever I could get on him. And then, yeah, we have Seeker. Seeker's in my vault. Where is Seeker? Come back, Seeker. So this is what I'm saying. With a typical Bateater, it is with Seeker. it's a 2-key Ultra Nightmare with Bulwark, but I think all things considered, if maybe you have better defense relentless gear than I do, defense-based damage relentless gear with good speed on it, you might have a little bit better off chance of him just doing more sheer damage. Plus, I really think if you could you could start pushing the damage if you could really pump out some more toxic 2.5% little baby poisons, and Seeker or Bulwark could extend those. But unfortunately, it's not quite there. So I do think Deacon Eater with Bulwark as the DPS is possible. So with that in mind, I'm going to try my best to make that happen on the test server and do a follow-up video to this video. So stay tuned. I'll try to make that happen. I got to take advantage of the test server while I have it. So we'll see what we could do. I'll see if I can get it to switch to Affinity. I would love to see it switch to actually, Force Affinity to see what happens with Deacon, because he's at least the stronger Affinity. Or the opposite. Maybe we test the weakest Affinity, because Deacon is going to weak hit when it's magic. So that's the reality too. If we can't, do we have trouble keeping up the decreased defense? Or no, because we have Bulwark extending. So that's the good thing about Bulwark, right? Bulwark skill there extending. Bulwark skill here extending helps a lot when you're dealing with something like weak affinity on someone like that's placing decreased defense or something important, because if it weak hits sometimes, you could hope that at least he's encouraging it to actually land more often. But yeah, I'll try to do a follow-up. I hope you guys appreciate this video, and I'll see you in the next one.